For consideration of Midwest Speedfest 2025, I am presenting a submission for the Beat the Game category of Star Wars Trilogy, Apprentice of the Force for the Game Boy Advance. This game is a retelling of the original trilogy with the adventures of Luke Skywalker going through and defeating the Empire, all on the lovely little handheld Game Boy Advance. And it's very fast moving. Everything moves pretty quick. I won't have time to say too much, but I will bring some insight in here and there. Do my best to talk about the combat, do my best to talk about just kind of things to watch out for in general, and just there's always constant improvisation and backup strats that go into this game. So what you see is never going to look exactly the same for every single attempt. It's going to look similar, but not exactly the same. So the normal Beat the Game category does not require me to do any extra setup before the game begins. My timer's good to go. So as soon as I press the complete name, it'll be time to go. So we will get this run rolling in 3, 2, 1, go. So again, this is beat for beat, going through episode 4, 5, and 6, which is the original trilogy. And a lot of these original trilogy segments involve transitions between cutscenes, the opening credits, and then eventually the action itself. So we start off episode 4 with just a blaster, and blaster is actually really, really good for this sort of thing. It's very precise. Nothing too complicated about it. Now we got some text mashing to go through. This text mashing in-game cutscene is a little bit different from the out-of-game cutscene. As you'll see, I'm mashing more A than B, but in the out-of-game cutscene, I'm going to be mashing more B than A. Alright. We're going to get to the hardest jump in the game right now. And we got it. It's deceiving. It is very easy to just jump way too early or miss the timing altogether. And I got it right away. One thing you'll notice is that I am sometimes waiting for the Tusken Raiders, first enemies that we meet in the game, to taunt. That way they only take 1 hit as opposed to 2. It is not always possible that way, but we do the best that we can. And that was a good first segment, aside from not immediately grabbing the gate right away. Gonna stay on this side, just so I can be closer to the platform right there. Good health refill. I took it a little bit easier on that climb up. You can be a lot more aggressive with how soon you jump. And generally I am, but I'm kind of de-rusting, admittedly. That segment went pretty decently. So I think the only quirk of the blue blaster bullets is that it just allows you to shoot while moving, if you're shooting a diagonal direction. They all taunted. 1, 2, 3. And this is an interesting little fight we have here. We shoot the big head honcho up there, and then we deal with the big guys down there. It's a quicker way to deal with the fight as opposed to just shooting from diagonally. That jump is going to cost me just a little bit, and we're done here. So that's the first segment, and we are never ever going to have to walk like that normally again, because we're going to be receiving the rush feature. Force rushing is ridiculously broken. But we can't use it right away, because We got everyone's favorite astromech droid, R2-D2, also better known as Slow 2-D2. Until we get to this area. And these green blaster bullets, as you might be able to tell, actually allow you to kill all stormtroopers in 1 or 2 hits at least. And we have to wait for R2-D2 to enter, otherwise we're going to receive that cutscene. We did pretty alright there. Elevator cycles can be a bit of a factor when going through this area. I'm just going to kill a few of these. Kill a few of these stormtroopers, and then I will just walk on over. We can't rush, otherwise R2 will get very, very antsy without us. But we will do it here. Actually, this is not a place we do it. So we did lose an elevator cycle. It's something I tend to forget. You actually walk, and then you start dashing around. And I did slightly miscue myself a little bit, but that's okay. This game is pretty much in line with the space theme that is being used for this year's VGM Con, so I thought it would be interesting to add to the spacey theme of this game. So that's part of why I wanted to submit it, but also it's just a cool little action-adventure game, and yeah, there's plenty of action to be found here. I barely made that jump work. We will eventually dash, but right now we're just trying to keep R2 within our sights. Last area to dash, and we'll do that right now. And now we can kind of run free in that section. Slow 2-D2 was being mostly cooperative. We just made a few mistakes, exiting one of the doors, and just one elevator cycle. So, this next part here is going to introduce health pack refills. We want to grab as many of these, if not all of them, because they're going to be pretty crucial to being able to make it through later sections of the game without having to use as much health. Rushing in this game is a little particular. Got that square. Yeah, that might cost me. Alright. We're gonna go for a very difficult skip here. And we got it. That saves a bundle of time. By skipping one encounter of stormtroopers, which ends up being pretty inconvenient. So I forgot to grab the blasters, but we'll have it a little bit later, I guess, so that's kind of neat. We have a bit of a, Alright. I was going for an early elevator cycle there, and I was not able to pick it up. Okay. Nice grab there. Overall, handling pretty decently. Now, in certain instances, the red bullet, which is the most powerful blaster bullet, will go through multiple opponents, so that can be really nice if you get it appropriately, of course. Very nice grab there. And we're doing halfway decent going into this next segment. We're going to be boarding the Millennium Falcon now. Which means we're going to be using a bit of diagonal strats to and now we got the escape sequence. A few jumps and we'll be on our way out. And sure enough, not the fastest, but we were able to make it through pretty alright. We'll see how the next few segments go. We got the Death Star coming up next. Also, fun fact, Boba Fett shows up one episode early. I did. Not sure why he's in episode 4, but he's there. So episode 4 is where we start having the somersaulting feature. And now we got pitfalls. Whoops. I always jump the gun one early. And now we got a bit of some split areas where we're going to be putting in work. Got a few places where we have to concentrate just a little bit here. There's going to be some stormtroopers appearing on the side. And then right here. Going to be somersaulting. We're going to be focused on this side of stormtroopers first, and then go to the other side. And with just enough HP, we should be able to survive this. And we sure do. Alright. A few places to go up here. Just a bit of some waiting here in some of these. We gotta make sure that we hit that blaster door, because if we don't, we just won't be able to make it through. And it's just very sad if we don't. Also, the introduction of turrets. A few of these to blast our way through. I am being just slightly safe with how I move around, because it's easy to die here. And miss bullets. With this section, we can kind of avoid the turrets by shooting this way. Ooh, I almost missed out on that one. We do have to shoot these in quick succession, otherwise we will just not make it through. I was trying to get that green blaster ammo, but it wasn't quite working out. Wasn't quite able to make it through the first time, but that's alright. We almost never do. And now we're back to slow 2D2, so that's great. We're gonna try to make it to this next elevator cycle with good timing. Although that's really not perfect. Alright, so now we're gonna let R2 do his thing, activate the bridge, as we do kind of need it. Oh, I forgot about this one. Good elevator cycle. Is able to make good timing on that. And R2 is going to join us. And just like the movie, the cutscene has just a single stormtrooper show up. And just straight up done goof. So this is one of the few times that we let R2 get shot. Just because it's the last cutscene and there's no charging points we have to go through to the end of that area. And unlike R2-D2, Princess Leia is actually helpful. As you can only shoot, you only have to shoot in one direction, and Princess will take care of the rest. And then we're going to have another mostly faithful to cutscene, where we have to activate a really far shot up at the top of this area. Just a bit of a pivot. And then just go this way. Alright. And a lot of this is pretty straightforward. You're either shooting one direction or another, shooting up or shooting diagonally or shooting in the other way. And now I'm shooting diagonally. And as long as you know how many hordes of stormtroopers you've made it through, you should be fine. So this one's diagonal. And then both directions. And we should be well on our way out. There we go. So, a bit of a time loss because I didn't quite rush through everything perfectly, but that's fine. We're doing pretty okay. Until we get to this, one of my, quote, favorite sections. It's the TIE Fighter Roundup. It's great. So, if you're lucky, you'll be able to corral them in really easily. And if you're really unlucky, they'll just kind of gang up on you and shoot you away. It's not the most fun. And there's a whole lot of them. I've not had the worst consequences getting through these groups yet. Okay, pretty good. I'm a bit sluggish as of right now. So we're gonna have to kind of just operate a little bit easier going on this next section. Again, TIE Fighter Roundup is the one where you kind of want to take it nice and easy. Because it does get quite a bit harder than this. Quite a bit tougher. We kind of want to just sort of take a rough estimate of how to approach these. A few of these were being relatively difficult. Alright, so the last group of 9, they're going to show up in a group of 6, and then another group of 3 is going to show up the moment the first 3 are destroyed. I wasn't being all that fast in this, but that is because it is very easy to mess up. Alright, one more to go, and alright, there we go. Not my fastest roundup, but it was good enough to get the job done. And now we're in the trench run itself. There is a way to skip the trench run. We're not going to do that tonight. Oh boy. I took a few too many chances trying to get through that area without dying. There's going to be turrets on the sides. TIE fighters are going to try to shoot us. We can sort of avoid them by corralling them and manipulating them into each of these like side walls that you see right here, which is going to be very important. And sometimes they will destroy themselves. They will not necessarily live long enough to be a nuisance for you. But right now we have to do quite a bit of the heavy lifting, as they are being very trolly in how they appear. Not exactly the type of thing you want to be seeing right now. Ah, dang it. Okay. Rough Def, Trench Run is not an easy spot. Okay, that was better manipulated. You can kind of get a feel for how quickly they'll show up. If they appear at the top, you can easily corral them to the bottom, but if they appear in the middle or the bottom, then you kind of have to wait a few cycles to throw them into the flames of the sidewalls. And then there's a bit of a juggling battle between just kind of not, like, immediately getting bounced, you know, in these sections where you have to kind of just deliberately wait. Alright. Not my strongest, but we're getting through mostly okay. We are running low on R2s. It's not uncommon to have like 3 or 4 deaths in a trench run, just because of how challenging it is, especially on a section like this, where you need to A, avoid the bullets, not die, effectively bring them in. It is a bit of a tall order sometimes, because they will not always properly corral themselves in. Alright, this is the last one. Let's see if we can pull it off. Yeah, we did. Alright. I'm just going to let the game roll in, and then I'm going to, as soon as that shows up, I'm just going to die. Because it's just a free refill. It loses us all 3 seconds. It's pretty risk-free. Especially when we're that low on health, it's not worth trying to ride it out. I mean, if we were tasks, we could, but we're not. We're human beings, and we're capable of flaws, so we're just kind of gonna roll with it. Woo, that was a bit of a close one. Okay, so I rode the side just a little bit. Depending on how aggressively you're skirting against the sides, you'll take very little to no damage. Sometimes I think it's a bit RNG dependent. That's pretty cognizant of where everything was there. Go. We're doing pretty good knocking out all these TIE fighters. We should have 2 more left to go. Okay. You know what? That was worth it, I think. We should have a few more exits left, and then we're going to be seeing the big baddie himself. Oh, hey, look, Vader's here. Okay, alright. Guess we'll deal with them, I suppose. Oh, he's got bullets and everything. More bullets than your average TIE fighters. Okay. Oh, he's getting close. He's really closing in here. I don't know if we're going to be able to stop him. I'm just going to keep on swinging up and down, back and forth, left and right on this track, but I think Vader's gonna get me. Oh, he's getting close. We might be dead. Oh, hey, it's the Millennium Falcon. How handy. Good of them to show up. I like it. And we're at the end of episode 4. The Death Star has been destroyed and can no longer threaten anybody else in the universe. For now! It'll come back later, I'm sure. We got another opening credits sequence to spam start through, and now Luke is going to be given a lightsaber, which makes things quite a bit different. There are going to be a few segments where we don't use the lightsaber, but that'll come up later. Bit of a jump scare that pit is. And you can see that the most common move that is going to be a quick, easy kill at the beginning is going to be the uppercut slash. got these Wampas who take a little bit of damage here and there. So coming up on this next area here, we got a bit of a precise jump, and we got it. Allows us to pick up this health refill. We'll need it. Ooh, almost jumped into the abyss. So those cracked pits there, sometimes you can sit on them, but it's very short-lived. We have to be kind of careful here. I'm all too familiar what it's like to just immediately eat dirt and die. We kind of took it a little bit easy with the dashing. And then one more, and you're out of that cave. So those are some of the sudden pitfalls, which is why we take it a little easier. In world record runs, we're just trying to full send it. Every now and then we'll slow it down just a little bit in case I think I need to. So this is a little awkward of a section here. The fastest way to handle it is to just go back and forth, uppercut the snowtroopers. Woo! That's gave me a bit of a scare. I had to think carefully about that one. And then we very briefly switch back to this blaster because it allows us to go quite a bit faster. We're going to briefly just go down here. And then go right up here. Take care of it right away so we don't forget. And then we can just dash all the way to the base, which will bring us to a lovely little auto-scroller called the AT-AT auto-scroller. That's what I call it. We have that AT-AT pursuit, which, just survive. Which is easier said than done, because sometimes you just eat dirt and immediately die. So right here, we have a bit of a jump. Because if we don't dash there, we will get destroyed by the foot. The foot is an auto-killer. And there's another health upgrade. We need to grab it the first jump, because if we don't, it's going to be sad. It's going to be a sad day. So now we're getting to a lovely little thing called the Leap of Faith, because it's looks like you're jumping in what looks like a pitfall, but there's just a bit of land that you can catch at the very end there. It can be awkward at first, but once you get past the casual standpoint of this whole thing, it gets to be pretty ingrained in the memory. I'll say that much. This one here is a must dash when it opens up. And, well, we kind of just hack and slash our way through here. We're going to have one set of stormtroopers that we have to fight against. Right here. And And we're done there. That was about as efficient as we could possibly have it be. Alright, so I jump sometimes just to make sure that I remember for the next leap of faith. I have accidentally pressed the wrong button and lost runs that way, or lost a lot of time, so there's a reason you see me do a lot of jumping sometimes. It's a reminder that the jump button is still in the same place it was before. Alright, we've got one more foot left to go, and then we're going to be on our way into the base to make our escape. Alright. We're on our way out. And we're going to be... We got a bunch of stormtroopers encounters to do. Just a bit of some easy going here for a while. So that is a very situational, okay. I wasn't sure why, for that particular section, it's actually better to, take one side and then go to the next. Because it's way too easy to die here. And then we just got a barrage of them. And we're on our way in. Alright, off we go. So, we managed to escape Hoth. We're going to be getting the double jump ability, which is really, really helpful, especially in the next parts of this game. Now we got some Yoda training. We're going to be learning how to use the Force. We only use it every now and then, and the most we usually ever use it is in this section until episode 6. I won't lie, that's kind of how things work here. Alright. So, fun fact, you don't actually have to push those boulders. Oh, hey. I was getting a little sluggish there. I was getting a little slow on that section, forgetting how the lay of the land was. I usually do with that first one. With that second one, I know that there's a lot of like sudden jumps you have to go for. This is a slightly precise jump. There we go, got that. Alright, gonna go down here. And that is also a very precise section. You gotta jump right away, otherwise Yoda's gonna chastise you. Alright. And Vader is a fake. We just gotta tech smash, and then we're gonna be heading to Cloud City, where we're gonna be going through a whole lot of fighting. We ran into a trap, but we gotta just deal with it. Make it through all the corridors and hallways in order to deal with Dad. Oh wait, did I say Dad? I meant to say Darth Vader. Nothing about fathers. That's not considered a spoiler. No, not at all. R2 is the last time we have to deal with slow 2D2. And then we'll never have to deal with R2 again. The astromech droid has been helpful every now and then, but generally hindering us. So it'll be good to ditch the astromech droid. Alright, and... Oh, I also forgot. Alright. I purposely went into the encounter just so I didn't have to deal with R2 being shot. Alright, it's been fun, R2. And finally, we have way more techniques that we can use. Like the wheelie blade. There's going to be a lot of just very quick moving sections where we are doing a lot of combating. And you just kind of just have to lock in, stay focused, and not waste too much time. There's going to be plenty of these where that came from. Oh, I forgot I have to go to the other side. This is where, admittedly, the game gets a little confusing because there's a lot going on and it looks fairly repetitive. I forgot those boxes were there. Those... I have a tendency to forget about those. Oh, that's right. How soon I forget. That is actually the last one. That ledge there is somewhat precise. The hammer slash, fun fact, if you've got multiple stormtroopers, it tends to be handier to use the hammer slash to cover multiple kills. It's also a little faster moving, but sometimes we use the wheelie blade. Again, lightsaber techniques are going to be all kind of dependent on where you are. as being a little sluggish there. Gotta be especially careful here. This is an easy section to die in. You can see why I'm taking it very easy here. Haven't had the best luck. And this is the last section of Cloud City, so I'm gonna ignore the droid and just immediately go to a very particular section where hammer blows are really helpful here. Alright, and we are on our way to fight Vader, for real this time. He's gonna do some talking, try to knock us into the carbonite pit. We're gonna be finding the most carbonite pit, and we're just gonna be kind of hacking away. And that was a quick first segment. We're gonna get another health upgrade right here. And now we got another Vader segment where we're going to be dodging objects and hoping he unlocks the exit as quickly as possible. Sometimes he doesn't. Let's see how quickly this one cooperates for us. There we go. That went pretty decently. And then we're going to be kind of just getting through this as quickly as possible and then tech smashing. Which is gonna be a good time. Alright, so he's gonna say that he's our father, which is like, oh no. And that's episode 5 taken care of. Episode 6 is where the fun really begins. You really have to like ramp up on the healing, as well as force blitzing, which we will learn in the last 2 sections of the game. So we're going to learn about healing, which is just R down. We'll use it every now and then, but not in this first section. We got these Gamorreans who are a bit of a pushover. We can easily take care of them with the power of Spin Blade. They got spinning axes, they're pretty powerful. And then there's some that appear at the top. Take care of those. Usually uppercuts will do the trick. And we just sort of improvise where they are on position. And quite a few hammer blasts usually do the trick just fine. You know what? I'm gonna heal a little bit. Oh, I forget where that is sometimes. That was kind of just second guessing myself. There is Boba Fett in the right place. All right. Woo! We made it. We made it in the nick of time. That was the closest was gonna possibly get in that. I cut it incredibly close on the HP. We usually want to heal a little bit more, but I decided to risk it for the biscuit. And now we got RNG Incarnate. Here comes the Rancor. Oh no. We kind of have to bring him out a little bit here. And then I'm going to just kind of go this way. Oh. Oh, it somehow worked. Okay. Cool. That was the most unconventional kill that I've gotten so far. We saved a little time against all odds. And now we're at another auto-scroller. So yeah, that is super RNG heck. And the main barge here, this auto-scroller is basically just kill the Gamorreans as quickly as possible. And be careful not to fall into the Sarlacc pit, because that loses us a lot of time too. I'd really prefer not to. Alright. Got a bit more Wanderlust. Gonna make it through this last section. Alright. And Boba's gone. No longer a nuisance anymore. And that's our last refill. We want to grab it ASAP. And that is a pretty fairly quick sequence. It's benign. As long as you figure out you can get the lightsaber to hit at the bottom every time. It's one of those, like, you just get it then. We got a few more jumps and then we're going to be on our way out. And there we go. And we actually gold split on this run. What am I kidding? Now we got another very lovely section. It's a speeder chase. We gotta hope for the best. There's a little bit of RNG involved in getting the scout troopers out of the way. If you ram them into the side, if they're really cooperative like that example, they will immediately die. And then these bullets that we use here, say, will allow us to very quickly determine which direction to go. Sometimes we have to make some quick, spare-the-moment changes to kill on one side or another. So that's the first section of the speeder chase done and done. It will not always be that easy. I can promise you that much. They will get a bit more challenging than just that. Okay, not my fastest, but I'm making it through pretty okay so far. These next two sections are where I blanked out for a moment there and I forgot where I was. It is easy to lose track of where you are, and that was a great example of me losing track. And I'm not sure how much time that's going to lose me, but it's very unfortunate because that was the end of that segment, and now we're going to be contending with time against us. We have to just hope that we play it perfectly. We'll see if I can dispatch my way through this next section as perfectly as possible, because we are going to lose a little time here. Alright, that first one was a really quick done and done deal. As long as we can make it through this last section, which we did, it was a costly time loss, that being said, so it's very normal for me to just kind of lose time out on that area, but nonetheless, we were able to make it through with only one death, which it could have been a lot worse. And now we're getting to the fun part. Now we got a multitude of options. We can kind of just use the lightsaber techniques that I've been using so far. We can start really turning up a notch with the force splitting ability. Gotta bit of a swing ladder here. Okay. We'll eventually start using force blitzing when we have way too many enemies to deal, but right now, I kind of just like to hammer slash because it gets the most out of it. Now we're going to use it. Now we got some real fun coming up here. Got insects and lots of killers here. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. I kind of carefully waited that out. As you can tell, this is a segment where I become a lot more locked in. There's less for me to say because it is easy to mess up if you're not concentrated on what's going on in game. With the multitude of enemies that are just coming at you left and right, and sometimes I'll just fall dead silent for that particular reason. Now we got bees, not the bees. Kind of playing it carefully. You can see why I don't jump immediately. A lot of what I'm doing here for combat is just dash back and forth, hammer slash or uppercut, and it becomes very easy to sort of like Ah, here's the first jump scare one. Alright. That section is done with. Kill that enemy first, and then go for the jump. And this is where the fun really begins. Oh, that's right, another jump scare one. Woo! That was a little close. Now we're gonna really force blitz. And we got through relatively on time. There were a few places where I slowed down just a little bit, but I was able to make good work of that section. We're gonna just avoid that guy, go down here, and then we're going to force blitz. There are 2 sections left in this entire game aside from a boss fight. We got one last section here. We got a couple of things that are going to potentially hit us. Very good. And now the fun really begins. Just a bit of some healing to make sure that we definitely make it through this section. Just make sure that that last pitfall can no longer do me in. Alright, and the worst is over. We got one last boss fight to go. That section, you can see I kind of said a little bit less because a lot of the combat had been decently explained in Episode 5, and it remains mostly the same in Episode 6. just with a little added dose of tension and potential pitfalls that you forget about. There's 2 jump scare spinning platforms. It requires a decent amount of focus, and so I cried quite a bit. But now we got the big bad Darth Vader himself, and we're just going to kind of hack away at him using a combination of hammer, slashes, and uppercuts, and we'll see if I get the right combination. This can go anywhere between well and Darth Vader being extraordinarily stubborn. And this is a stubborn Vader fight. You can tell just by how much difficulty I had on that first phase. And that one's relatively orchestrated. Just jump up, hammer slash, hit a couple of uppercuts, and then we just go for the weak spots. There's a lot of uppercuts. Now, poor Vader just kind of getting whipped around. Senseless. We're almost done here. This was a pretty good fight aside from the beginning. There we go. Nice. Not bad. Pretty well done. And now we got some tech smashing to go. That was a pretty solid run. Aside from a few sections where I badly messed up, and really it was just the speeder chase and just not being totally on point with the with episode 4 at the beginning, and that's just kind of rust. All right, time. Well, we were within a minute of my personal best, if not less than, which is pretty good. I don't have too much else to say. For what it's worth, it went pretty well, and I am relatively happy with the results here. If this were a marathon run, I'd say it went pretty swell. Especially because a game like this, a lot can go wrong, and it feels like having that, buffer of an hour 20 is a good estimate for something like this, especially because things can go wrong in the TIE Fighter roundup. Things can go significantly wrong in the land speeder chase, as you saw, for example. I had just a moment where I blanked out and kind of forgot where I was. Things that can go wrong in just any Stormtrooper encounter fight bunch, So, yeah, that's the normal category of Star Wars Trilogy Apprentice of the Force, and I thought it went pretty well. And given it is Midwest Speedfest is going to be part of VGM Con's Dimensional Rift, being more space themed, I figured, if we wanted to stick to the theme and have some high-octane Empire destroying action, then this is really the game for that sort of thing. For the folks at Midwest Speedfest who are looking through the entries, I hope you consider this as a potential run. I think it's a good time. It's a lot of fun. There's cool lightsaber tech and just a variety of different combat techniques that I can show off, and it all looks really cool, especially in action. The platforming, when it's well tightly orchestrated, especially in certain segments, is very satisfying. It's a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, thank you for your time. That's all for me. I don't have nothing else to say. Until next time, folks.